Hello, this is Sherman Cox II of SoulPreaching.com. We are continuing our series of sermon errors, number 7, which is what was sermon number? Incorrect stories, incorrect use of stories. Sermon error number 7 is incorrect use of stories. There are a number of ways to use a story incorrectly. One of them is just the wrong story. Another one is an overpowering story. And another one is an irrelevant story. Really, this one is much like the first one. A wrong story is a story that kind of fits, but really doesn't fit your sermon or the point that you're using the story for. Remember, stories are very strong, and if they are, because they're so strong, they can totally rob from the people's minds that which you are using the story for. Use the story to illustrate points. Use the story to help people to understand points. But don't use a story just because it sounds good to you. The wrong story can be much worse than using no story at all. An overpowering story. This is a story that is so overpowering that it takes away from the people, again, that which you have tried to teach them in the presentation. I was given a story one time about a plane going up through the clouds, and the plane broke through the clouds, and even though under the clouds the wind was blowing through it, up on the upper side of the clouds, it was calm, and it was a calmness that God had brought us through that particular storm that we find ourselves with, or whatever, something along those lines. What happened is the individuals only remembered the story and forgot about the text that was supposed to be illustrated by the story. You definitely don't want the story to overpower your sermon, and so I would definitely caution you, because stories are so powerful, to not use an overpowering story. Now, that can be difficult to come up with. Once again, the important point is to be intentional about everything that you do. An irrelevant story. Don't just tell a story simply because it was good or it was helpful. I mean, you like the story. I've definitely heard preachers that they always have to tell a story about their child, whether it fits or whether it don't fit. When you do that, your people's minds only have enough space for, a short-term memory only has enough space for a certain number of things. Don't use an irrelevant story so people have to choose whether they're going to throw your point away or whether they're going to remember that point and throw away something good that you preached in your message. So definitely, how do you get around this? The first thing that you want to do is only use appropriate stories. Use stories that don't overpower the point that you are making, or stories, sometimes overpowering can be stories that illustrate other features that you don't necessarily want to bring out. If the main point of your story is some feature that you don't want to bring out, you probably don't want to use that particular point, that story, because it may overpower your point in your sermon. And finally, don't use the wrong story, which really overpowering and irrelevant are examples of using the wrong story, although there's other ways of using the wrong story. If this has been helpful to you, I encourage you to go to SoulPreaching.com and find other resources just like this one, including our free ebook, The Preacher's Sermon Blueprint, which you can get by signing up for our email list on SoulPreaching.com. God bless you, and keep on preaching.